don't know how to add. Mayor, we are ready when you are, sir.
Are you recording?
We are, both
Thank you, ma'am.
spots.
Good evening, everybody. If we could, Pastor Davis, would you give the invocation, please?
Yeah. Let's please bow. God, we thank you again, and we say we're grateful that we have you to call on, God. We have you to come to. God, we need your help, God. We ask you tonight, Lord, to be with these, your people, God, who is placed here, God, to lead our city. Ask you, Lord, to bless them, give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, God, to make the right decisions that affect all of us. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chapel.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Let's see. We need to approve the minutes in your package from August the 14th.
I think we need to do roll first, sir.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Roll call, please.
Miss Barrow. Here. Mr. Chappell.
Here.
Miss Galbraith.
Here.
Miss Gibson. Here. Mayor Kelly.
Here. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Now,
First item is to approve the minutes in your packages from August the 14th, 19th, and 21st.
I believe that should be September 14, 19, and 21.
Oh,
Yes.
there's our first adjustment.
Very good. August the 14th
September.
and September the 19th and 21st. Is that what you're saying?
They're all September.
They're all September. Okay.
I'll make a motion we approve them as presented.
With the adjustment to the calendar, right?
Yeah.
I have one correction on there.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
For this September 19, it's a minor correction on the page 4. It's the very top paragraph that I stated that the records request policy was completed, not the ordinance.
Gotcha. Thank you, dear. Appreciate it.
Good to go. Anybody else? We have a motion on the floor.
I'll make that with corrections, please.
Okey-doke.
Second.
First and second, call a roll, please.
Miss Barrow.
Yes.
Mr. Chappell.
Yes.
Miss Galbraith.
Yes.
Miss Gibson. Yes. Mayor Kelly.
Yes, thank you very much. Do we have any additions or deletions? There's nothing, is there, that you're aware of?
Not that I'm
Nothing.
aware of.
All right, thank you, ma'am. At this time, any non-agenda items that anybody would like to talk about, please come to the podium. State your name and address for the record, ma'am.
Anna Marie Morris, 129 North Lakewood. I'm just going to remind everybody that the VFW is having the trunk or treat on the 31st. If anybody in the audience wants to participate and can come and decorate a car, we just had our parking lot done, so it looks really nice. Going to be from 4:30. No, yes, 4 to 6:30. 4 to 6:30 on the 31st. So come and join us and have some fun.
Thank you, ma'am. Hi.
Hi, Diane Coates, 1521 Dover Road, and I have something I have to hand out to y'all, and I need to have a little bit of an explanation on this. And I will be referring to Mr. Sloan and Mayor Kelly.
Wow.
Thank you.
And
Who's that still code?
or what is it?
Thank
It
you.
didn't print out very well.
It's a good picture.
Anyway, this was put up last week.
Yes, ma'am.
I took pictures of it, and I just have a few questions, Mr. Sloan and Mr. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am.
If you can read that and then explain it to me.
Well, let me tell you what I know,
Okay.
and then I'll pass it to the attorney if
Oh,
that helps.
this is about the boat ramp, people. Okay.
So what she's handed me and the other council members is a piece of paper with a photograph. It says Private Park, Estelle Cove, no public entry. And that's what it looks like. And it's on a pole. And I've been there with the Public Works Director so I can see what it is. So I received my first phone call Friday day And this is not a City of Parker sign. We did not
Correct.
put that there.
Mrs. Wilson did.
Okay, I don't know exactly who put it there, but I just know the City of Parker didn't put it there.
Okay, she ordered it.
So I have contacted, at that time, I contacted Mr. Sloan, the city's attorney, who's here, because this is still in litigation. As far as I know, it's going to appellate court. So we are waiting for a reaction from the attorney of the person that allegedly put that here, which my understanding is she's been in trial for the last 2 days and unable to respond to Mr. Sloan. Is that the meat of it, sir?
Yes, sir. I've requested when she gets out of trial to ask her to contact me.
So to answer your question, I can't answer because I don't have an answer to give anybody yet.
But what does the public mean on there? Because there has been some boats and trailers in
I
there.
don't know, and I'll tell you why. I'm not sure that that's correct, because a person received a ticket on their car, a hand-generated ticket, and they live in Donaldson Point. They put their boat in the water, and when they came back, there was a letter on their car saying their vehicle was going to be towed.
Okay,
So I'm not sure exactly who the select people are that get to put that boat in there. All I can tell you is that I'm waiting on a response from their attorney. This isn't the City of Parker.
Right.
The Parker Police are not going to enforce this. This is going to be for a magistrate, a judge, and the attorneys to tell me what the answer is. This is. Is that an answer?
that's kind of like, I'm listening to you talk and I didn't, but,
Well, that's a good point, because if you ask me to answer, or anybody
Yes.
asks me to answer, how do I know when the clock starts and stops if
yeah,
I don't give you an
didn't know
answer?
what she did, yeah.
So, go ahead. What did you have anything else?
No, it was just that and watching what's been going on at the park.
Yeah.
And I did see the car go through, but I didn't see the person get out of the car to put a little note on that.
I see.
But I don't think that's allowed to be towed away.
So that's obviously a legal issue. So here's my question. If I go and take my boat, which I don't have one, but if I had one,
If you borrowed somebody's,
and I drove down and put my boat in, parked, and my vehicle and trailer got towed, and she's claiming it's private property,
and it's not been determined that yet.
there's so much ambiguity there that it's.
Well, Ms. Gibson, I had the same question. And Chief, I don't know if you don't mind telling me what the state law says about illegally towing vehicles, the record companies.
They can be towed, however, they also assume the liability, whenever they tow it off of private property if it's not legally towed.
So in other words, what happens is if the vehicle gets towed, whoever generated the tow, it's not sanctioned by law enforcement. It's just that.
So really, who would have to pay to get their stuff out of there? If this isn't all solved. I don't wanna see anybody in Donaldson be hurt by all this.
I don't see anybody in Parker want to be
In
hurt by all
Parker,
this.
that this thing has been there for 60 years.
It worked
Everybody is
fine,
talking
didn't it?
about
Everything worked fine.
And honest to God, being right there, watching, my mom and I sit there and we look outside some days when it's cool enough to watch. I don't hear the swearing, I don't see them dumping bottles and debris into the water. That's coming from the tide coming in and out, and you know, you got a lot of people on the other side and a lot of trailers over there. Garbage might be flowing, not that they put it in there.
Right.
And it ends up in Estelle Cove.
So where we're at from my position, law enforcement's position, is we are waiting for communication between the person that allegedly put the sign there's attorney and Mr. Sloan.
Okay.
Because as soon as this is resolved, then we'll know how we're going to move forward.
All right.
But if you read online the ruling that was made that day, it was summary, it's not over. And so
Yeah, I
I
just.
don't know if that helps you or not, but
Yeah, because I
I've been
still
dealing with
feel-
this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I've had a call, at least one call a day from people.
Just asking
And what
questions.
Ms. Gibson just said is exactly right. Suppose you live in not just Donaldson Point, but let's say you live in Donaldson Point, and you have a relative come to visit, and they bring a boat and trailer,
Correct.
and they put their boat in the water, and off they go fishing in the bayou. And when they come back, the boat and the trailer's gone. Who's responsible? Not the Parker Police, not the city of Parker, not the people of Parker. The record company, whoever took that vehicle. If they didn't have permission to do that, Chief, would they be stealing that vehicle?
I don't know if you could go as far as a grand theft charge, but there would probably be some civil liability to the person that authorized the tow.
Okay, that sounds nice.
So we've been dealing with this for 5 days. But
Okay. Yeah, but you know, over the one weekend, we had like 15 boat and trailers in there. The
Sure.
people were there, they were helping each other. There's
Sure.
not a lot of rowdy stuff going on.
No.
But if she decides to designate that as a park, and anyone can go down there and picnic, just
But
think,
it's not hers to designate.
but we're still
It is for the
fighting.
Plat 3 owners, not for Joyce Wilson.
Right.
And,
But
and
how
I
do you
hate, I
go
hate that
about-
you're dealing with it. We're dealing with it. Mr. Sloan, when you have a conversation, if there's some sort of resolution, is it something we could put together a announcement or like a news
Well,
bulletin or something of what is actually
it,
gonna
aside from
happen?
the order of the court, if we reach an agreement or settlement on any of the points that are still outstanding, then I'll communicate that to the city, and however you all wanna
or an
disseminate
update?
that, you can.
My concern is somebody's gonna get towed.
Mr. Sloan, how long are we going to give the attorney to respond?
Well, like I say, I knew she was in trial yesterday and today, so
Okay.
I emailed her Friday afternoon
Okay.
after I talked to the mayor, and I asked her to call me as soon as she gets out of trial.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure that she also has a legal secretary and paralegal. So
She
maybe we
does,
could get some
but-
kind of a
But the
response
decision
from-
needs to come out of her.
you know,
Well, obviously, but maybe they could help speed the process along.
Well,
So-
she should be finished today, and I'll hopefully hear from her tomorrow.
Has she been designated as the spokesperson for the
No.
53 people that own that place?
No, sir.
No,
I think there's more than 53. isn't there?
I think it's 71 in the affidavit.
71?
Yeah, but that's whatever, you know, I mean, I don't have an answer.
she's not owner of that property.
Right.
And I don't agree that I want people towed from there. I'm part owner.
You
I
know-
don't agree.
You know what bothers me too is if she does get all this, who's gonna, it's gonna be taxes paid on that? I know y'all didn't pay it because you thought you owned it, and now the 5170, whatever it is, are they gonna end up paying taxes? What about
Well,
insurance?
I
on
think
that
what we need is a
place?
judge to make a definitive decision, not a summary statement, and hear it at a higher court if we need to, and be done with it.
This judge isn't the judge that is the husband of some teacher or a person over at the school that she is part of.
I'm only gonna go with what I know, and I'm
Okay.
waiting right now for the attorney to contact me and tell
Because that
Mr.
would be
Sloan to tell me what we're
the
gonna do.
judge, that would be
Honestly,
conflict of
Diane, this is the
interest.
first that I've seen of this or heard of
Oh,
it.
it just got put up Friday morning.
So,
Thank
can
you
I
for
let,
bringing
there's
it
more
up.
people that wanna
When
speak.
does the Estelle come home?
Okay,
Yep.
thank you all very much.
Yes, sir, come to the podium if you would, please.
That was the
My
name
name's
of
John
the
Potter,
couple years
5204
ago.
Sewell Drive. My daughter and son-in-law are the ones that got this letter put on their car.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you here, sir.
And it happened 2 weeks ago, two Saturdays ago.
Yeah.
And,
Mr. Potter, could
yes,
you,
ma'am.
I'm sorry, could you restate your address?
5204 Sewell.
52. Thank you.
And if you go to the property appraisers list, it's owned by the city of Parker.
Yeah, sir.
So can the chief go and take that sign down? There's no reason for that sign to be on that property right now.
There is.
I mean, I'll go do it.
There is a decision from the court that we have
Oh, y'all are.
asked to be clarified, and we're waiting on that clarification.
Sir, here's the
I'm sorry.
property appraiser report. It says Park City of Parker.
But there's a circuit judge that has rendered a decision that is not exactly in line with that printout.
So until then, though, it's owned by the city of Parker.
I would not recommend the city go against the order of the court.
No, that
The
wouldn't be.
city, and I
but-
realize this was not the city sign. Everyone knows that. They also
Yeah.
put up no parking signs along that road, whatever the name of it is. I can't-
That was the city, that was us.
Okay,
Not
that's
the-
fine.
Because it was on the east.
Are you
or on
talking?
the
Yeah,
right of
Okay,
way.
the
that's
ones
cool.
on the easement are correct.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine, that's fine, but if this is not their property, and somebody tows my car, or my daughter's car, or someone else's car, the city of Parker will be held liable. Oh, yeah, they
Not
will.
if the city of Parker
It will
had
be-
nothing
if
to
not-
do with it.
Mr. Sloan, if nothing else, it's gonna be tied up with legal issues if you don't take that sign down. Because if you take that sign down, there's no issue.
I'm not a lawyer,
Mayor, can you pass
but,
that?
and I'm not giving legal advice, but
Then
it
make sure
seems to me
council
if
members
somebody
don't get
gets
one.
towed, they need to
Not
talk to
right
Miss
now.
Wilson.
Oh, I agree, totally.
Right.
But
It's an
but
issue
the-
between you and Miss Wilson.
No, but Parker will be enthralled in that legal dispute because this is your property. This is our
But,
this is our
but sir,
property.
whatever it says, it doesn't really matter because you gave them permission to put their boat in the water.
I'm sorry.
Didn't you tell me just now that your relative put their boat in the water?
My daughter and son-in-law. put
Exactly,
them in the water.
and
Yeah.
you gave them permission to do that.
But they didn't have to ask my permission, sir.
I realize that,
It's not my
but
property. That's been a public. That's been a public.
I know,
We know.
I know, we know.
I know you know.
I'm-
I've lived here since '71, so
And-
I know.
But my point is this: if you're allowed, let's just say the 71 people in Donaldson Point are the only owners of that piece of property. What's to stop you from giving anybody permission to launch your boat on your property? Let's just say that doesn't
Right,
exist.
right.
You follow me?
Yeah, yes,
So
sir.
nobody has the right to tow someone's boat.
Right.
Your relative puts their boat in the water,
Right.
and they come back from fishing, and the
And
truck
car's
is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have that right.
Come on, man, that's not right.
Right. So why can't Parker take that sign down?
So it happened on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
The police have not got the authority from Mr. Sloan. That's where we're at. And he has not had a chance to communicate with Miss Wilson's attorney. And we've been trying since Friday. Friday morning at 11, my phone started to ring, and it has rang for the last 5 days. And I've called and I've called, and I don't have the ability to just go arbitrarily right now and go take that sign out of the ground. I don't have the authority because it's in limbo.
We got a summary judgment from a judge. It was so ambiguous that we are appealing it. And
So what exactly did it say?
It said
that they own the.
They own it, and we have to.
it's an easement.
We have to move anything that wasn't there before 2000.
Well,
We're-
It's a judicial
the
mess.
order is multiple pages long, but it in short form says that that the park, it didn't enumerate specific elements of the park, but the park is to be considered private for the residents of Donaldson Point. However, anything that was on the property, on that park property, in 2017 or before can remain. The question becomes, okay, well, there is a stormwater system, there is a lift station, there is sewer piping,
Generator.
and there's a boat ramp. The question is, okay, it remains, under what conditions does it remain? The court was silent in the ruling on that. So that is why we have sought a rehearing to clarify what the judge meant. Once the judge clarifies it, then we will be in a better position to know what the rights of the city are.
One last question. Do you know where the Wilsons live? Do you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to control that little inlet because they own the last property there, and if they can control that, then they can dictate who can and can't go in that little area right there in that map. That's what they're doing. Because I looked it up just to find out who these people were, and that's who they are. I don't know who they are, where they're from, or anything, but something needs to be done, and that sign needs to go. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Mayor, when Ms. Coates said that she didn't want it to hurt people, it is hurting everybody in Parker because every penny that we pay this man to work on this.
Yes.
It's costing every citizen in Parker it's
And all of
costing
the
them.
maintenance for the last 40,
And we're
50
putting up
years
with
has been
this,
put
this
into
woman's
that
doing
property.
this, and I was already asked not to bring this up, but I'm gonna do it anyway. This woman is on one of our boards and representing the city of Parker and suing us at the same time. I think that we need to remove her from there because that is just to act against every citizen in this city for what she's doing to everybody in Parker.
It's cost us a lot of money. We've had to pay a lot of money to defend ourselves. 'Cause
Exactly.
the lawsuit was brought
How
by
far
her.
is it gonna go and she can just sit there and do that to us and do this to all these people and the people that own the property down there? You know, there's gotta be an end to some of it. I make a motion that we remove her from that seat.
What committee is she on?
She's on the,
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure, yeah.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, she's nodding yes, it's the infrastructure committee. Okay. I can't second, so we have a first, do we have a second?
Well, I would like to have discussions.
I would like to have discussion too.
Floor is open.
I mean, that typically comes after a second, so how do you want to handle that, Mr.
There
Sloan?
needs to be a second before there can be discussion.
Okay. Then I will make a second to the motion. Can we do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Now we
is
can have
there a legal
discussion.
ramification for doing that?
Well, she serves at the pleasure, as does everyone on that committee, serves at the pleasure of the council. So, in theory, you could remove any or all of them or not reappoint them as you choose. I know some were reappointed July the 1st, or roughly that period of time.
Sure.
Was she was not reappointed?
No, sir.
So we have a first and second, Ms. Galbraith, you have the floor.
But she still serves because she's in the middle of her term, yes?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Are there any,
Yes.
she serves at the pleasure of
The city council.
the city council.
this
and-
council voted her on there. This council can take her off of there. That's what we're here for.
I mean, we have someone on there who is suing the city, not waiting for a final judgment when there is ongoing court, and is
Right.
taking this upon themselves to punish the citizens of Parker and punish the citizens of Donaldson Point, who are the owners. Nobody voted her to be the queen of the cove, and I just can't even. I have no problem removing her.
Okay. Do you have any conversation, Stacy? You good?
She's
My
costing
question
us
was
tens
answered,
of
so I
thousands
think
of dollars.
I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Are we ready? Call a roll, please, for this.
Ms. Barrow?
Yes.
Mr. Chappell?
Yes.
Ms. Galbraith?
Yes.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Mayor Kelly?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, council. Do we want to replace this position tonight, or we want to wait till the next council meeting?
I think we need to put it out for
Wait.
applications
See who
and go
wants
through
to.
the process.
Okay. Well,
Why don't we, wasn't that one on the last one we did?
well, I don't have a vote, and I can't first or second, but in the five of us, I would, if you're asking me in conversation, I would like to put Mr. Lumley in as a replacement for her as soon as possible.
Lumley did not apply for that, so is he interested?
Well, you may not want it, but that would be what I would want.
Maybe Mr. Lumley would like to have a say.
No, I want you to serve for us on the infrastructure
The rest
committee
of her term anyway.
for the remainder of her term. But we can't vote on it, apparently.
Well, you can't make a motion.
You
or-
can't.
No, I
make a
can't make a
motion.
motion, but somebody could if,
The end of this month? Is that right?
October 24th, they have a meeting.
Do we have one more council meeting between now
Yes,
and then?
yes, you do.
Let's put this out and let somebody, I mean,
Yes,
that's a
let's-
little bit of putting Mr. Lumley on the spot. No pressure there.
Yeah. So can we go ahead and open it up? We'll post it on Facebook, we'll put it on all the usual places,
I assume the website.
and then we can vote it on the next council meeting before the infrastructure, and we'll get a new assignment.
Thank you, council. Does anybody else like to come? Yes, ma'am.
I'm not gonna talk about the boat ramp / park. Good evening, everyone. Had just a couple of questions in, oh, sorry, I apologize. I should know that. Pat Fosick, 1344 Stratford Avenue.
I already have it down.
Thank you. A couple of questions. First of all, hopefully some good news. You may remember that on the 18th of July, we did some bid openings with regard to paving, and the city council approved on August 1st to accept the contract, forgive me, I don't have the name of the company, Robertson Roberts, to do the paving. We needed to send them a confirmation of intent to proceed, and then they're supposed to do something back to us, and then they are supposed to be done in 150 days. Have they started? Do we know when they're gonna start? Okay, do we think they'll make the 150? Okay, good.
They got rain dates.
Yes.
for the delay.
Good news, thank you for that. Also too, I hadn't seen it brought up yet, I sent an email to Public Works last week, because we saw the, framing for a concrete pad that was being built, and I asked Public Works, hey, what's going on? Is this for the new bathroom? I was hopeful that it was gonna be the bathroom for, that we got from the ARPA money. And I didn't get a response for a couple of days. Miss Rega did respond, and she mentioned something about the Earl Gilbert Park, and that wasn't my question.
No, it was both. What I was saying is they were working on the bathrooms for both. Is that correct, Mr. Summerlin? Yes. So the frame, I was just answering that the project itself for both is what Mr. Summerlin had spoken to in a previous meeting.
Okay,
That's
then
what I
I
was
completely
referencing.
misunderstood it.
And it
because
might
I
have been
thought
the
you
way
went
I
to Earl
wrote it, so I
Gilbert's.
apologize.
I was, we're focusing on
They're
this one.
identical.
Regardless,
Slabs
I'm
poured.
glad to see it's there. That was
Yep.
my reason for asking the question. And I figured I would not bother the clerk, but ask the department head or the administrator of the department, because I know Mr. Summerlin is normally on the road. But anyway, I'm glad to see it there. Looks great. Can't wait for it to be working. And that came out of ARPA money, is that correct? Perfect. Okay. Also, at a July 18 meeting, Mr. Summerlin discussed the need for, and I believe the council voted, funding to place cameras and lights in the sports complex. And we've got the cable thing all worked out. Has that happened? Are we making?
It's supposed to be here tomorrow.
Perfect. Good. All good news. And just two last things. I had some questions at the September 14th budget meeting and the September 19th budget meeting, and I have yet to receive answers to those.
We have some, I think you need to decide if you're okay with these responses.
Okay, that's fine. Just, I'm glad to see that they're in progress. Thank you. Thank you
They
very
are.
much.
Ms. Fosick, just to answer, you were trying a new process that will hopefully work a little bit better. So if we're okay with that.
Well, I guess I'll ask a question overall. Are we now only going to get answers a week or two later, or will the council be willing and able to answer? I mean, I know you can't answer all the questions, there's research involved, but, you know, sometimes I would think we could get an answer from the council.
you
We
just
have
did.
been up until this
You
point.
just got answers from
I
Tony for
agree with
everything
that.
today.
I agree with that,
Yeah.
Ms. Gibson. But again, these were budget questions.
Right, and we wanted to make sure that everything that we are gonna tell you is 100% verified, accurate. It's not a guess, it's not an assumption.
Okay, let me speak for myself then, and I know I'm out of time.
All right.
I will accept, it's not for me to accept. I would appreciate, to the best of my knowledge, but let me double check, but I think it's this. Simply because I, ask, for example, how much cash are we sitting on when we're looking at all these public work projects? And it seems like we didn't have an idea. So, thank you, and I don't mean to be disruptive.
Would anybody else like to come to the podium and discuss anything you'd like to talk about? All right.
Are you gonna come?
Not really, but I will. So, my name is Michael Murray. I have property at 6002 East Highway 98. I bought Carl Livingston's property. Used to be a trailer park. I do not want a trailer park. I want an RV park. I want to make imprints or footprints of anything that stays.
on the other side as well, and Robert used to work for the town. I don't know his last name. He lived there a while as well. So now it's 5 acres. One side is personal, one side is private. There is a single wide that's still there, and another single wide that's still there. There's also RVs. I came today to pay a license fee, and now I'm talking to you guys. About code, I guess. I don't know. I don't know
So,
what the code is.
Mr. Murray did come today, and he had a map with him. Planning had asked if he could bring a map of the development as it is right now, and he brought a map, but that map had been provided some time ago by
It's the same. It's in the county maps.
Right, and so he's asking for a business license for an RV park, but we have other buildings on the property, as I recall. And
Yeah.
are those buildings rented out also?
The house, Carl still lives there. That's part of the buyout at the cost that I bought it for. He resides there still until he dies for free.
And so the concern for me was that it's got multiple things on it. It's got mobile homes, it's got RVs, and it's got,
One house.
You said a house, a storefront, and a shower house. Is that what you
The
said?
storefront is rented by some guy that does scuba diving. I don't.
Okay,
This seems like it might need to be an agenda item with some more information to the council before we have
yeah.
discussion.
I just wasn't comfortable,
I don't
you
know.
know,
I
with
mean,
the
'cause this
business.
is
And
like-
he said he's only here till Wednesday, which is why I thought, okay, I mean,
Okay.
It's probably gonna take longer than Wednesday to get this resolved.
Yeah.
We do have rules on the books that dictate mixing the properties, RVs, mobile homes, so on and so forth. When did you need an answer by?
But it's up to you guys. I mean, I was told that I don't want the mobile homes there, and
You just want RVs on the
correct.
property?
And the 2 gentlemen that live there have been living there forever. They were there before I bought the place, and I was told until 2025 that they had to be gone by past employees or present employees from the city of Parker. And I'm gonna get rid of them. I don't want them there.
But
I don't
doesn't our
have-
LDR read that if it changes hands, it cannot be?
It
Right,
goes
I'm
to
not-
the
I
new
don't
rule.
expect grandfathering.
Yeah, there is no grandfather.
I don't
That's right.
expect that.
Yeah, you did. You had until,
Would you give us a couple of days to
That's fine. And
beat it down and let
can
Mr.
we,
Sloan look at
will
it
you
for
be
me?
back in town for our next council meeting, which I believe is on the 17th
Yeah,
of
it is.
October? Or would you
I
rather
have
move
another
it in?
business I have to run in Georgia, so.
So
probably
would you
not.
rather move it to November, or would you like to just call me and
That'd be fine.
let me know when you'd be
But if I need
available?
to pay this,
Could
the
Mr.
license
S-
fee is, I need to pay the license fee, but I also have it through the state as well, so it'd be paid.
If you don't mind, could Mr. Sloan give him kind of a rundown of what we might need for the next agenda item?
Yeah.
For it to be on the next agenda?
Yeah, I don't have a
Want that
problem
now?
with that.
Essentially, I need to see a current map. If that's current, great. I need a breakdown of what's on the property. I need a breakdown of what's being rented on the property. And I need a site location of pads in
But
order
that's
to,
what the-
if that's current,
that's
then
what they
that's
are.
great. If it's not current, then I need a current one. Those are the preliminary things.
He had also mentioned there's a lift station on the property, that is our lift station.
Mm.
And he has concern, if I'm getting this correctly, that, there was a meter
There
that
is a
we
meter,
are
yes.
utilizing, but it's a meter
It
for
took it
one of
from one
the.
of the spots that I think it's on now. The
I
meter
don't
shift.
have no idea
We
what
we
you're
will,
talking about.
Address that. We're
okay, sir.
checking all the services and the address. The city's always had a service there for flushing purposes.
Yep.
Because that's a dead end line, and we have to have a flush meter, and that's been what we've used that meter for, flushing. And we have went back in the city system and as far back as we can, and the address that he's referring to is nowhere in any of our documents.
They had it as a, Carl turned that particular spot into storage, and I can see where the line had been cut.
Mm-hmm.
And everything had shifted because of the lift station.
Okay.
But granted, I wasn't here when it happened.
Give us a minute to look into it, and we'll get back with you for the
Yeah,
answer.
that sounds like a bigger issue than
Yeah.
just a business license.
Yeah,
Mayor. It sounds like
absolutely.
Sounds like we've got issues.
A mapping
on
issue,
water
yeah.
and sewer.
I'll get you an answer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody else have anything for the council before we move on? Nobody? Mr. Davis, nothing? Okay. Just keep smiling. So, item 1 is the people from Carl Riggs and Ingram are here to speak to the city council. All of you should have received your most recent finished audit. Sir, you have the floor.
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Rich Morera. You guys know Richard McKenney is the prior partner here at CRI. He retired recently, so I have taken over momentarily his role. You guys may know, I know the staff knows Rebecca Sharn. She's a manager that's been with the project for the last 10, 15 years, and we're working on her being partner going forward. So this year you're stuck with me. I'm going to go over the audit report, answer any questions you guys have, and just if you guys have anything you need to know, just let me know. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So we'll start on page 1 of the report. It's an independent auditor's report. This is where we provide an opinion on the financial statements. This year we provided an opinion that's considered unqualified or a clean opinion. It's the kind of opinion you want in your audited financial statements. On the second page, on the first page there, basis of opinion, our opinions based on generally accepted accounting principles, and we conduct our audit under government auditing standards. The rest of that report is just has some information that I don't think for the purpose of this meeting we need to cover, so I'm going to jump all the way back to page 73. So just, I guess to take a step back, the reports I'm going to cover are the ones that we issue with the audit. Your financial statements that you have a ton of financial information from 9/30/2022. I'm just going to focus on the reports we issue as part of our engagement with you. Okay? Page 73 is our independent auditor's report on internal control. When we do a financial statement audit, it is not an internal control audit. That's a different type of engagement. But as we do our audit, if there's any internal control issues that we identify, we're required to disclose those in this report. And there's 2 different types of findings that we have. There's what we call material weaknesses. Those are weaknesses that there's a reasonable possibility that a material misstatement may occur. And you had 4 of those. So at the bottom of page 73, you'll note that we reference findings 2022-001 through 004. And we're going to cover those here in a minute. On page 74, we discuss significant deficiencies. It's a different type of finding. It's a control finding that's less severe than a material weakness, but important enough for us to bring to your attention. This report also covers compliance. So we look at compliance with laws, rules, regulations that are material to the financial statements. In that section, we did note that we did not find any issues related to compliance. So no compliance issues, but we do have some internal control issues that we're going to cover here in a second. On page 75 is a single audit report. So when the city exceeds the threshold for a single audit is a separate engagement on top of the financial statement audit. So if you receive over $750,000 of federal or state funds, that secondary audit gets triggered. That audit's a lot more detailed, and it focuses primarily on your grants. And so that report, top of 75, we do say that in our opinion, the city complied in all material respects with the requirements of those programs. So that's a clean opinion overall. We did not find any compliance issues with those grants. However, on page 76, at the bottom of page 76, just like we do in a financial statement audit, we do look at internal control. And we did have a couple findings related to internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. Those are identified on page 77 as findings 2022-101 and 2022-102. And we're promised we're going to get to the findings here in a second. All right. Page 81 is where your findings begin. I want to first state a majority of these findings are repeat findings. Majority of these findings are common in entities the size of yours. And as we go over each of these findings, I can kind of explain why they're common and why they occur. The first finding was related to significant audit adjustments. Basically, when we start an audit, you guys provide us the financial information. If we find adjustments that we find through our audit procedures that we have to make in a material, this finding automatically gets triggered. You know, there's a lot of changes with staff over the last year. You did contract with a third-party bookkeeper, but that was before 9/30/2022. And as a reminder, we're looking at from 10/1/21 to 9/30/2022 in this audit. So this is, you know, a little bit of time ago. And so that's really that first finding, is that we found those kind of adjustments. You know, they happen. We hope that you guys can kind of minimize those, but they do happen, especially when you have turnover in positions. They're more common. The second finding deals with segregation of duties. In the accounting world, the perfect scenario is that you have segregation of duties where basically the authority, the custody, and the record keeping of different activities are separated. Due to the size of your team, it is very hard for that to be implemented. Majority of cities I audit that are similar in size have this finding. There are things that we will suggest to mitigate that, but in all instances, it just can't be prevented. And so that finding had to do with segregation of duties. And what really happens is when you have segregation of duties, it increases the possibility of errors being found. The city has determined that there's kind of a cost-benefit analysis done, and that the cost of hiring enough staff for that finding to go away at this point isn't something the city wants to do, and that's understandable. Okay. The third finding we had was a financial statement schedule of expenditures of federal award finding. Basically, what this finding talks about is the fact that we, as your auditors, create your financial statements and create your schedule of federal awards. Due to your staff's limited staff and due to the capacity of your staff, you guys are not able to do that. You guys have to rely on us to do those financial statements. And so that automatically triggers this financial statement finding. The fourth finding has to do with bank reconciliations. We found that bank reconciliations for pooled cash were not always completed accurately. The lack of review could result in ineffective cash management, unidentified delays in deposits, or material errors or fraud. We did note that there's, again, multiple turnover in the bookkeeping position over the last several years, that you did hire a third-party bookkeeper in mid-2022, but by the time she got into place, a lot of these bank reconciliations had not been completed timely. Finding number 5 had to do with month-end closing. The city The city has set up month-end closing procedures. However, it was determined that they were not regularly reviewed. Procedures should be in place to review those accuracy of those reports. The failure to review those could result in errors and fraud going uncorrected, undetected. Again, we note that with the addition of the third-party bookkeeper, some of those procedures have been put in place. The next two findings have to do specifically with your federal awards. The first one was lack of documentation for reimbursement requests. So as you provide reimbursement requests to the state or FEMA, whoever the awarding agency is, there should be a review of that done. We found one instance where one invoice was submitted for 2 different projects. The total value of that invoice was $2,700. It's not huge, but it just kind of outlines the fact that if somebody's not reviewing it timely, the possibility for those kind of errors can happen. And our final finding has to do with lack of documentation of quarterly reports. So your grants have various requirements to submit quarterly reports. And I believe that your third-party grant person folks, prepare those. It's important for the city themselves to review those and document that review. My understanding is they were being reviewed, but we need to see the documentation. As auditors, we can't rely on statements. We have to actually see the documentation. So that's one of the things that's CDR's done it, yeah. But somebody in the city has to review it.
Okay.
And basically just sign off on it?
Yes, initials. There's different ways to do it. Check mark,
yeah.
something
Okay.
to just let us know that somebody in the city has looked at that. I will note on page 86 it lists the basically those findings and if they were repeat findings. As I said, all of our findings were repeat findings. However, there was one finding that was corrected. Last year we had a finding related to some submittal information related to FSR, your retirement system. And so that finding was corrected from the prior year. I'm not sure why I'm echoing, I'm sorry about that. Page 88 is a report required by the Florida Auditor General's Office. The majority of this report is stuff that we have already covered. It does go over on the bottom of page 88 and on the top of page 89. It outlines those findings that are repeat findings that we've talked about. There is one area I do want to point of just to let you guys know that one of the steps we take in the middle of page 89 when it talks about financial condition and management. We do perform procedures. The state has certain outlines of things we have to look at that are kind of red flags that there's concerns the city may not be going in the right direction. And we didn't find anything that met those requirements. So as far as that standard, you guys were in line with it. The last report is on page 91. This is a report required by the state. It simply looks at a specific Florida statute 28.415, which deals with how you invest your funds. We would look at that and determine that if you're in compliance with the statute, and we did determine in that report that you're in compliance with that statute, so you're investing your funds in compliance with that Florida statute. All right. As far as the reports we issue, those are the ones we have. I'd be happy to answer any questions, any concerns you all have.
So I do have some questions.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay, so what you're saying, the way I understand it, is 1 through 5,
Mm-hmm.
our size prohibits us from doing anything, and it is a common thing in very small cities like ours.
I would say one is more common. 2 is almost impossible with the size of your city.
Okay.
3, based on the folks that you have working here, would be hard to avoid. You would almost have to have a CPA on staff with governmental experience that can prepare financial statements.
Yeah.
4 and 5, I would say, are not necessarily. I think you guys are putting procedures in place with a third-party bookkeeper that will help mitigate those.
Okay. I feel like.
Let me tag on to what you're asking here, though. So, like on number 1, I would like to know, are we seeing improvements, though, from the amount of adjustments in 21 to 22 now that we currently have our third-party accountant that came on mid-year?
I'm going to put Robert on the spot here for a second. You know that off the top of your head, you don't have the answer.
I believe there was some.
There's some improvements. To remind you, we did not, and first I apologize that I'm not the partner in charge of this audit. And Richard McKinney retired. If it was my client, I would know a lot more and I can get you some answers definitely after the fact. With that said, I do know that by the time the third-party bookkeeper was hired, it was mid-2022 and there's a learning curve. So I don't know how many of those type of adjustments would have been corrected. Now 23, I would expect to see huge improvements. But
okay, so can we put that on a question, because it also indicates here that you guys don't expect that we will do any better in the next year, and I think I'm still a little surprised by that statement on number 1.
On number 1,
it's not expected to be
I think what
corrected.
we're trying to say there is to eliminate all.
Okay.
Are you referencing the recommendation?
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
the
we
comments.
say, while we realize it would not likely be financially feasible to implement the procedures necessary to eliminate all. When we audit, it is very, very, if you think of all the transactions that the city does, it is very difficult not to find something. Now, you guys should strive not to find anything. I'm not saying I don't have any clients that don't have this finding, but the fact is that we get paid to look in pretty good detail. These findings are typically not that something was done nefarious or any kind of sign of fraud. It's just simply there's certain accounting rules and you have to book it either, fiscal year 22 versus fiscal year 23. It's those kind of just simple, they're not following the generally accepted accounting principles of recording the entry in most cases. It's just not in the right box or in the right spot. And majority of cities with limited staff are still going to have those errors because, they're going to happen. I mean, mistakes are happening, people are human. It's hard to eliminate those. With third-party bookkeeper, the hope is that she's helping identify some of those on the front end or on the back end, and it reduces the number of those. But I can't make a promise or make a prediction of how many think the way we have that worded is simply to say, we understand it happens pretty regularly, but we wanna see those, minimized as much as possible.
Can you get us those numbers?
Oh, yeah, we can give
That'd be
you the
great.
number of entries versus from last year to this year, of course. I apologize, I don't have that in front of me.
So, okay, so 1 through 5, you're basically saying they're not possible because of staff size. 4, number 4 you said was fixed? Or?
Number 4 could be
Five.
fixed. So number 1 through 3, I would say, are more leaning towards either a combination of staff size and also, when you have less people being able to review information, mistakes that are made aren't caught, right?
So we now have the bookkeeper that does the bank reconciliations, which, if I remember, that was sort of a mess during that time frame.
Right.
So, in my mind, it's fixed because we have Julie.
I hope so. Obviously we haven't started 23, so I can't make any promises, but my anticipation was that they would have been, hopefully.
I feel confident in our staff.
I
so.
trust that. So.
Okay, so month-end closing, I believe that's the same situation. We have a bookkeeper that does consistent month-end closings every single month, and that there was a lot going on in 21, 22, so.
Right. And that finding also was specific, some of the month-end closings were done. It's a second step of being reviewed.
They're not checking the box and saying that it's reviewed.
They are now.
Right,
Okay,
right.
perfect. That sounds
So
great.
that's something that I think, once you guys, are caught up and know what to do, it could be fixed fairly.
Okay.
Now, again, I don't know if you guys have started that process. So hopefully for all of 23, if it's been fixed, then that should, go away.
So going to the federal award,
Yes.
has that been fixed? I'm not sure. So the quarterly reports and the federal awards, I believe you're very good with your paperwork, and maybe it just.
Is this the one you're seeing, this one to the?
There's two. So the first one had to do with the fact that there's lack of review of reimbursement requests. So.
What I was trying to say earlier is CDR sends us over the quarterly reports and the reviews, and what we had done 3 years ago was we printed out those, I reviewed those, and then my assistant went in and approved those. But at the time that they came back on the 2-year audit report, said there was no way to balance check that. So now what we do is she emails it over to me for approval, and then I email back the response to the approval. So she has to print my approval and attach it to that.
So that's
so
on the.
it's being done, but we didn't physically have an email or my
Gotcha.
signature saying approved. So
Of course.
23 should show that.
And again, that's us being auditors in black and white, and we have to see documentation.
And so that's for the quarterly reports and the federal awards too, or no?
I don't know about the federal award.
So
So the first one had to do with
Quarterly.
reimbursement requests. The first
Yes,
one.
that's the same thing coming from CDR. They both are quarterly and reimbursement.
Okay, so they should both be
Done the same
right
way.
now. Like on the reimbursement request, you guys may have that, but and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if we find issues where, an error is made, then obviously even though the control's in place, if it's not working, it would be an issue. But it sounds like
Yeah, so
documenting
there's
it.
2 of us reviewing.
That's
Okay,
perfect.
so that so 07, I guess, or 102 is taken care of. So the federal award, which is 101, that was a review, no documented review of reimbursements by the city prior to submission. So we would need more than one person to check that review. Is that what?
No, one person's, so CDR does it, correct?
Mm.
So before you guys submit it to the states, at least one person should be reviewing
Okay,
that.
and then that's just a matter of documentation, because I would assume that.
Yes.
Suzanne checks that.
So, in my mind, it doesn't, off of the information you just gave us, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that were issues. Why do I have 8? What am I missing? 1 through 5.
Because one of them was corrected.
Okay, so one of those corrected. So that tells me there are 2, which is 2 and 3, which because of our staff size are impossible to fix, correct?
The
Well,
word
they're not
impossible-
impossible.
Yeah, I don't
But
want to use that word, but yes, it would be very difficult.
Cost ineffective
Yes,
for
correct.
us to be able to do that.
Correct.
So I have a couple more questions. Are you done with questions?
Yeah.
Okay. On number 2,
Yes.
you made the comment that you could give us some recommendations on how we could do better segregation of duties.
Not necessarily set better segregation of duties because that's with your limited staff, but ways to mitigate that. So
Okay.
additional controls you can put in place
Okay.
to minimize the effect of that.
So if y'all are good with it, I would like to request that you guys do that.
Sure.
I agree.
On item 3,
Mhm.
this one talks about, again, we're talking about the federal awards. Are we doing it now in the second part of 22?
No, so this is really talking about the 80
Preparations of,
the 80 pages that are inside that report
so
between
the financial
reports.
statements, is she not preparing them in-house now? Our
No,
accountant?
no, she prepares financial information. I'm sure you guys get budgets and stuff, but prepared in accordance with GASB, where we have different levels of accounting. There's modified versus full accrual. The way it's presented on those 86 pages, she's not presenting in that format because.
Okay, but
that
to,
would not- go ahead, sorry.
that's fine,
Yeah.
but I want to clarify because we have people in the audience. She does prepare us financial
Oh,
statements.
I'm sure she does.
Okay.
I'm assuming that you guys have monthly
Yes.
financial information. I can't imagine she doesn't.
My
Maybe it's
understanding
just
is there's
not
some
included.
discrepancy between the way we do it and the way, is it Elizabeth from your company that was checking the work? The lady that was with you today? Rebecca, they do it differently apparently from the way Suzanne
okay,
does
there's
it
two
and
pieces to it.
Rebecca does it.
The financial information we have has adjustments that are made that we talked about. That's
Right.
the other finding. The presentation of the financial, so let's say we found nothing wrong. The financial information she presented would still have to be modified to be in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles.
Okay.
So that's the part where even if there was no mistakes, yes, we would still have this finding because she's not gonna create them in accordance with, every standard that's out there. There's new standards come out all the time. And not to say that, I don't wanna, critique anybody's ability, but I've been doing this for 20 years and it's not easy to create these financials. Once you get into like the 86 pages in the middle, they're complex financial statements, there's a lot of entries that have to be made to go between the two levels of accounting that governments are required to report on. And so, that's the best answer I can give you.
That's fine, but I just wanted to make sure the audience knew that she does prepare financial statements. On number 4, this references bank reconciliations for pool cash are not being done timely. Again, are they being done timely now in the second half of 22 that we've brought somebody on? And if you don't know that, we can
I
just
do
get
not
in.
know, but we can
Okay.
find out.
Can you get that answer?
Julie's answer.
I'd like to get that answer.
I
from
would
us,
give an
yeah.
official, I don't know if you
Okay.
want an official answer, but I'd be happy to
Okay.
give you, I don't know if they look at every month, and I'm not sure what, usually when we have an issue like that, we'll end up looking at more months than normal.
Okay.
So we can at least tell you the months we looked at and which ones we had issues with.
Okay, and on this finding also, it's still referencing something that occurred in 2020. Is that just gonna forever be there, or can we take that off?
We're talking about when you say.
The conversion, where we had the mishap in the conversion in May of 2020 when we swapped from one software program to another?
Under the cause, I think once you fix it, I think we're trying to, that part of the finding is kind of giving you some background as to why it was caused.
Okay.
Mr. McKinney had said he felt that it was time to draw a line in the sand and quit beating the horse to death.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't
Which
get
it-
the information now anyway.
I mean, if
It
we're
does-
still
it's
doing
done-
if we're still doing bank reconciliation slow, that's fine. But I just don't understand why we might leave that conversion issue in there for 3 years. So,
I
just
can
a
look into
question.
that, and really,
Okay.
again, this is just trying to give some background of cause of
Okay.
why it occurred, and I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know enough about the client to the city to know exactly if that's the case.
okay, those were the questions I needed. Thank you.
And I do want to say, Mr. McKinney, before he retired, he issued these financials, so these are his financials, and he obviously had the experience with the city and Rebecca and the
Yeah.
team have the experience
And actually, I have one more question. I'm sorry. For years, we were recording many of our entries on a cash basis and not on an accrual basis. Have we officially changed over and started doing it through accrual? Do you know the answer to that?
I would hope so, but I mean, not
Me
know
too.
that. So when we make audit adjustments, it's possible, you know, the audit adjustments I talked about,
Uh-huh.
it's very likely that it could be, you know, a lot of times that's what we see where you're, you know, when you have a payable, you know, you get a check, you pay an invoice on October 2nd, and it was for the prior year. If you're doing cash basis, then yeah, that's an issue, and that would be kind of the audit entries.
And I'm wondering if that's part of our audit issue, so can we find that out as well?
We will provide you all the audit entries. I think we probably already have, but you know, we will. And I also want to say that if any of you want to meet on a one-on-one basis and go over these in more detail, I do that with a lot of my council members. I'd be happy to meet with any of you.
So what he's referring to, council, if anybody wants to contact him, they'll have a sit down with each of you individually, which probably would be the best thing to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge, I feel like this is a bigger improvement than the last audit. I mean, we had, I think, 11. Didn't we have 11 from last
I meant to
audit?
look that up before we came in here and I forgot.
Jamie's shaking her head, yes.
It was 11, and so we are down to 6, 7,
Seven.
7. Well, there were 8. 1 was corrected, so we're down to 7. And out of those 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were fixed or will be fixed
Right.
or are fixed, and should be. It should show in the next audit for this year.
Right.
And then we've got 2 that are, in my mind, are things that because of our staffing we can't, you know, we're never going to be able to fix up. So I feel like this is a huge improvement over last year. So
Good. Any other questions?
No, sir, thank you.
Really
Thank you for
appreciate it.
coming tonight.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you.
You need a motion to accept the audit, Mayor.
Yeah. Did you hear Mr. Sloan give me guidance
I
there?
make a motion that we accept the audit.
As written? Okay, we have a second. We have a first and a second. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Miss Barrow.
Yes.
Mr. Chappell.
Yes.
Miss Galbraith.
Yes.
Miss Gibson.
yes,
Mayor Kelly.
Yes. Yes.
So, Mr. Sloan, do we need to do a year-end final budget?
You should
Number?
do a budget correction.
Yeah, we got 60 days to do that from
within
October
60
the
days
1st.
to the end of the fiscal year, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So,
No, so by the end of
Just-
November.
good time to be a reminder. Put it
Are
on
we
the calendar.
close to doing that, Julie? Did we know the adjustments we need to make to do a 60-day, the 60-day adjustment?
I was supposed to work on them
Okay.
Monday,
Yeah.
but we had other.
If we need
things
Susan to
about-
come in an extra day, that's okay to do that. We, you know,
Well,
whatever we need to
she
do.
has other clients,
Yep,
so, and the boys are back in school, but.
So we
will
have to have it done
them
by the end of November.
we
We
do.
will have them done by,
We have to vote on it by the end of November. Okay.
public comment.
Yes, ma'am, by all means.
And this may be a question for the auditor, or maybe for the council. On page 11 of the audit, we're talking about the economic factors, the positions, staffing. You know, I understand we're a small staff and we constantly hear that. But there was a note here that some positions have been difficult to fill and council has elected not to fill until the 24 fiscal year. The cost savings has been used to balance the rising costs of operating supplies needed to run the city. Was that considered in the 2024 budget, that we might actually look at bringing some more office staff in? I don't remember hearing that budget discussion.
Oh my goodness, I don't remember what we discussed about staff, but I don't
Maybe just
remember.
food for thought, for, you know, future consideration.
I know we talked about adding
do you
some
remember-
staff
I mean,
to
we came to
other
every budget
departments.
Yeah, I never heard it.
I
But
don't
again, we didn't see the audit until
remember
after the
talking
budget was
about
done.
bringing-
All the
You know what, we did
departments,
talk about, we had mentioned it, and
yeah,
I think.
that's all. The department heads aren't willing to cut their staff at all.
No, I'm talking about adding staff.
Yeah, I realize that, but because they haven't filled those positions, they still want those positions to be filled.
But I think that Suzanne can answer that question for us because she has all the detailed information on what we budgeted for payroll. So she'd be able to answer that question. Kim.
Okay. To the best of my recollection, there's one new position, and that is the parks assistant person, whatever that position is.
That was just a public works person, yeah.
Okay, that was the only.
How many was short in
position.
public works, Mr. Summerlin? 5?
See, and that's why I'm asking the question, so are we?
We were 11, weren't we?
Well, we just lost another one last week, and then we hired 2, and before we got those hired, they positions.
Chief Sweat, how many, Chief Hutto, how many people we short in the police department?
2.
2, okay.
Because, and the reason that I'm bringing this up is because we're getting some more money finally. You know, yes, it's for infrastructure, it's for running the city, but running the city is making sure that, you know, we've got the staff to do the jobs, whether it's public work, police, fire, or admin within the office. Another question, on page 48 of the audit, the city took out a $4 million line of credit to pay for the costs of Michael and Sandy. I believe that was in March of 2022.
Yeah.
We drew down $793,000 for that. How much money have we received back from FEMA, if any, as a reimbursement for that? Because I know they're slow, I guess, to reimburse. But are we working on that? Are we working? It's the government. What do you expect? Are we working on that?
Absolutely, every day, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And the audit states that the balance is going to be due in March of 24. I don't remember planning for that in the budget. So is there a way that we can get that extended if FEMA hasn't reimbursed us? I mean, has that been thought about? Because March is 5 months away.
Are you asking if the loan can be extended? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
No.
I guess that's what I'm asking, because as I read it, we owe the bank $793,000 come March 24.
Well, less whatever's already been paid back.
Right.
Okay.
Because she's money out, money in, money out, money in.
Okay, but what's been paid back as of fiscal year 22? No payment had been made on that loan. Now I know we're at the end of fiscal year 23.
Payments have been made on
Okay, good, thank you. Last one, page 62, the audit states, it's talking about the joint venture, the Military Point Advanced Wastewater Treatment Facility. The city is owed from that joint venture $330,000. Was that received during fiscal year 23? And I don't know where that would go in the budget. I looked at the revenue accounts for the budget. Forgive me, I know I have it here. Has that been received, and do we know what account it would go into? Because that's $330,000.
Can you ask that question one more time?
Okay. The joint venture, the water treatment facility, owes the city of Parker $330,000. And this is as of the end of 2022, or fiscal year 2022. Was that money received sometime during fiscal year 23, or have we still not collected it? Because I don't know what their payment structure is. And if we did receive it, I don't see anywhere in the budget where that money would come in. You know, it doesn't fit into gas utility tax.
I understand.
utility
Mr. Summerlin,
tax.
can you spread some light on this before we have to get an answer tomorrow, maybe?
Well, we're gonna have to look at the answer because I get the AWT bills every month.
Yeah.
I review the bills every month, and I've not gotten any letter from AWT or the county saying that we get the account.
Where did you get that information from?
It's in the audit.
It's
It's
in
on
the audit.
page,
62.
Okay,
Page
yeah.
62.
It's in the audit.
We'll look into it, figure out where that.
Thank you.
Like I said, I haven't gotten it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, if they don't wanna pay us, we gotta follow up. Thank you very much.
Maybe the audit team messed it up. We'll send them have to look into that tomorrow.
Did you pay their bill yet? Let's not.
No, I haven't paid them yet. Okay. Anything else, guys, folks? Nothing? Okay, we're gonna move on to the next item.
Mayor, you wanna tell them they can go if they want to?
To do it?
They can go if they want to.
Yeah, if you have to.
I'm talking about
The audit.
the audit guys.
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. Unless you're gonna write,
Go home.
stay and enjoy. Move to Parker.
That's
We're
coming.
about to.
That's coming.
We're about to. I'm gonna bill you for the plaque. Thanks, gentlemen. So a couple months ago, I threw it out to everybody that obviously the pier is going to be finished here pretty soon, and they're asking for the name the way we want it to appear. So we put it out there for everybody that wanted to participate, and according to what I have before me, there were 9 people who responded. Right here I have everybody. Some people sent a page, some people sent 2 pages, and some people sent more. It was John Bean Pier, Patriot Pier, John Bean Patriots Pier, Patriots Pier of Parker, Veterans Memorial Pier, Parker Memorial Pier, Parker Pier at Long Point, Lofton Pier, Lofton Parker Pier, and Parker Pier. So council, here we are. We got this terribly, terribly hard decision to make because I think personally they're all really good. But open it up for discussion, whatever you guys want to talk about. It's a tough. Lofton, Parker and Lofton were the founders of the city of Parker. Yeah, that's why we have Lofton's Ferry. Those two men were the first settlers here.
There's a plaque of, Pitts Avenue.
There's a plaque in the curve. Lofton's Ferry. He was a ferry operator from Federal Point to Parker back and forth. So they were the two founding. I don't know where their homes were. That's probably gone now, but probably somewhere near Lofton's Ferry, I would imagine. But Parker and Lofton were the founders. So, council, if you guys want to discuss this, I just don't know. I don't know what the solution is to picking them. I don't know the answer because they're all really, really good.
I agree. I think they're all fantastic.
Yeah.
I do love having some veteran memorial type discussion about it, just because we are so close to Tyndall Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm. And the Navy base.
And we've already included Lofter and Parker, you know, Gilbert. We've included all of those names throughout the city at some point. So.
One of the nominees, I'll just read it all to you, was Robichaud. Is he here? No. Okay.
Mr.
So
Libby.
one of the things that Robichaud mentioned was he liked the name of the John Bean Pier, and apparently Bean was a citizen of Parker.
I think he and Mr. Libby, did you and he work on
Yeah,
that
I got
together,
it.
Mr.
He
Libby?
gave me a letter. This gentleman, John, its middle initial was Bean, apparently grew up on Ninth Plaza in Parker, and during the Vietnam War, he was, without going into a lot of details, he was in the theater, and was killed in battle. And I know it to be correct because they verified it, and I went and verified their verification. This particular individual was is on the wall in Washington, D.C. I don't know where they got this picture, but this was in country. And he, and you'll see this is the wall, if you remember when it came to Parker, the small version. But Mr. Libby and Mr. Robichaud did an outstanding job. Sergeant First Class Bean doing his profile here, and that was one of their recommendations. I just don't know where to start with this because everybody sent me a really good 1 or 2 page letter outlining why they thought it should be what it should be, and I don't know that there's any possible way to name this without. I wish I could name it 9 things. Or can I do 8 benches on the pier? I don't know. But I'd like some input from the council to help guide this thing.
Do you want to give us some background on what the people sent to you?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't included in our packet.
Okay, so
We all got that one.
I got one.
We got that one.
You
Well,
got
the other
it?
ones were the.
I'm sorry. I thought everybody got the same thing I got.
No, this was in the packet. I handed each of you a
Okay.
little while ago. Yeah, and
So
then no.
what happened was Libby and Robichaud went out and did their homework. I don't know how they came up with this particular person, but this is one of the excerpts that they put in here. One of the examples.
I saw that
This
one.
is the theater he was operating in, and because of Sergeant First Class's Bean's MOS, the career path he had in the Army, his job during the Vietnam War took him in to parts of the world where a normal soldier or airman or sailor may not have gone to. So when he fell in Laos. Is that correct? Laos. Some people call it Lao. It is factual what they put in their package. I will tell you, I have met with the commander of the VFW, and I'm not trying to sway you, Council. I'm just telling you what Senior Master Sergeant Salvo said, retired. He's the commander of the VFW. He said that in his recommendation, we would select John Bean for the name of the pier. I think at the end of the day, no matter what we call it, people are going to call it Parker Pier. But they are. They're just going to say, let's go to Parker and go fishing. That's what they're going to say.
If you want it to be the Jewel of Parker, you should have the Parker name in it, is my thing.
Okay.
And if we have the memorial park to honor the dead in the military here, that would be a great place for a monument. I think that the pier should be.
And anybody from the audience, I know this is not normal, but anybody from the audience, just please come to the podium and tell us what you think, because this is hard for us. At least it's hard for me, put it that way.
Hi, Bill Libby, Sunset Drive. The research that was done by Jim and myself is all factual. It was documented, and the package we sent to you, because you couldn't take something from somebody's just word of what happened.
No, that's right.
And Sergeant Bean is the only person on the Vietnam Memorial from Parker, and he was a specialist in Vietnam, working in Laos.
Yep.
He was an operative. He had no ID. He used weapons with no serial numbers, and he never used American weapons. The group that he belonged to infiltrated the logistics from North Vietnam to South Vietnam. They were so effective that the North Vietnamese had to put almost 3 divisions of troops to go against this Special Operations Group. So it took those forces away from what was fighting our forces. Not only is he the only person on the Vietnam Memorial from Parker, his records, believe it or not, describe him as a Baptist from the city of Parker, Florida.
Wow.
It's very hard to get information about this. After these folks that joined this group had sworn to secrecy for 20 years, never to divulge their service. So not until the 90s did this information come out about these folks that went there and performed this service that was previously done by the CIA. Folks that were stationed in Thailand, Vietnam, these were special folks. Their duty and their performance could come out of a Clancy novel. I wasn't expecting to speak tonight. I brought some notes. Sergeant Bean was on his last patrol in Laos. He and the Monte Guards, the locals, were in Laos doing a search and destroy. They ran across a huge amount of enemy. The enemy chased them, literally, to try and surround them and to capture them. They were being fired over their heads so as not to hit. They wanted to capture this group. They pushed them Saturday night until they got to a river. This group, led by Sergeant Bean, jumped in the river and evaded the enemy till daylight. The enemy was on both sides of the river. At daylight, I guess all hell broke loose. Sergeant Bean was killed along with 5 of the civilians. The enemy wanted to capture them, but that was not going to happen. Sergeant Bean, if he was taken, would have been killed. The issue with them being in a country they weren't supposed to be, wearing a uniform they weren't supposed to be, firing weapons they weren't supposed to have, they were very successful. However, they had the highest casualty rate, exceeding 100%. Every single member of this group was wounded at least once, and because of over the 100%, wounded twice and sent back into battle. 50% of the force was killed. Out of the 58 missing in action, only 1 escaped. The enemy took no prisoners in this group here. If you were caught, you're going to die. As a straight fact. 1 person escaped, and he's got a terrific story to tell about how they left him at the fire and went somewhere else. He managed to break loose the way he was dressed and escaped through the jungle and got back to safety. Sergeant First Class Bean was an honorable soldier who gave his life for the country. And I think he has a place in Parker's historical record. We will always call this Parker's Pier, but that doesn't take away from honoring him officially as the Sergeant Bean Clear. Jim and I talked about this quite a bit, and all of the suggestions are well presented. We wanted to make sure our suggestions didn't have any ambiguity as to correctness. We went through a lot of classified information to come up with this. The fact, one of the things that struck us was having a Patriot's Pier, or we want to put a name on it. A patriot from where? Who? What are we talking about? I think this gentleman deserves that attention. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else would like to come to the podium? Okay, nobody? Council, any discussion before we move forward?
Well, I also had a hard time trying to figure out this, but my suggestion right now is Parker Memorial Pier with the one of the letters that made a comment about maybe putting a plaque or something like that of different people on the pier. And I was thinking that if we said Parker Memorial Pier, we could put veterans on there, or we could put citizens on there, like McLaughlin or so, and make a plaque putting them on the benches or whatever. So if we had anybody else that we want to honor in the city, we could make a plaque to them and put them on a bench or something in that line. That's the way I was looking at it. If we say a veteran memorial, that limits it just to military type people. And we got good citizens, and we've had good citizens, and some of them probably deserve to be recognized too. So that's why I thought maybe Parker Memorial Pier would be an appropriate name. That was my suggestion.
And I like part of that too, Mr. Chappell. I think we could do that no matter what we name it. I think we could put a memorial something down
Well,
there
one,
at the
one
pier
of the
that could.
things I spoke with Mr. Robichaud and Mr. Libby about when I discussed it with them, the possibility of having a block wall. Robichaud wanted it, I think he said 22 inches tall, 15 inches wide, maybe 4 feet long, and then put black onyx tile on the outside, which would resemble a small section of the wall that came here, and we could put a plaque on it, like you do Blue Star Memorial or something of that nature. But it's just a tough position I feel like we're in here, because I agree with what everybody says. Everybody.
I'm curious to know if anybody in the audience has a thought on what we should name it.
I just kind of thought just now, it is, a lot of times they buy a brick and you can put a special name on it and it can be a walkway to that
Mhm.
pier. We could sell the brick
And we still could do that. We still could do that.
for a lot of stuff. The memorial.
But this is where we're at right now. Hold on just one second, ma'am. The builders of the pier want the name because they're going to pay for this.
Oh, they are.
Yes. This has been negotiated by Mr. Summerlin, the providers of the funding, and the builder, for several reasons why. And they are waiting on this decision from us so that they can make the appropriate plaque. And I've suggested maybe, see, the thing about, if let's say we go with 7 first class beam, whatever. There's not enough room on that sign to put down his entire history about why he is there. Because whether you know it or you don't know it, if you look at his ribbon board and look at his in his Class A uniform, his blues, he was a Special Forces guy. So he absolutely is an American hero. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, maybe we could have more than one dedication on the pier. Maybe we could call it, like Mr. Chappell says, whatever we can come up with, and then have. Go ahead.
In my mind, this man was very, very special.
He's very special.
And I think, this is off the subject of the pier, I think everybody is going to just call it Parker Pier. I think if we don't name it the Bean Pier, I think what needs to happen is he needs to have his own monument and memorial at the park right here, with the whole story, with his picture, with the monument, explaining what he did and how he did it, with all of those details. So it is a true monument, and it should be at the Veteran Memorial Park. Anything having with the memorial or veterans or any of that, I feel like is a little bit confusing, because we've got the Veterans Memorial Park, and
Yep.
I like the
And we
idea.
could do the Cellar Brick, like she said. I mean, Lynn Haven did that.
I mean, we could do it at the park here, and you can, like, I would buy a brick from my grandfather.
Right, exactly.
During World War II,
Absolutely.
Anyway, off of that, so my inclination is to move towards, because it is at the end of Tyndall, or at the beginning of Tyndall, of using the alliteration is a lot. Parker, Patriot Pier of Parker, because everybody's going to call it Parker Pier. Or if we name it the Parker Patriot Pier, and then it becomes Parker Pier.
Parker Patriot Pier.
We could do what Mr. Chappell said, and we can pull some of these people that have lived in Parker during their service, or local, active duty guys, and switch out. I mean, we could do a lot of things with that, but it being at the end of the point, and it being right there, I think it covers the veterans and it covers the current military that are going to be using it. So that's my inclination, but I feel like Bean means more than just even if we decide to name it the pier I think he needs his own thing.
Put Bean over here on.
Well, I'll just like that there's been some thought process into the John Bean Pier. I like that it means something more than just the Parker Pier. I think that brings.
Mr. Libby, did we find out if there's any relatives still alive? Or when John fell, was at the end of it?
We were unable to locate him. He had two sisters. Both of them would have been in their middle 80s by now.
Yeah.
We were unable to locate anybody.
Okay. Yes, ma'am, you have the floor.
Yeah, because Ms. Galbraith asked for residents or citizens' comments too. I support the John Bean Patriots Pier. And Ms. Gibson, I think you're absolutely right. I think we could do a lot with Memorial Park, Veterans Memorial Park, including the brick thing that Diane mentioned. I know Callaway's doing the same thing. They've redone their park over on Cherry Street, which is where I used to live years and years and years ago. But the reason that I'm particularly fond of this or supportive of this is because if we think about the pier and what it's going to do, it's going to bring a tremendous amount of people to Parker. That is probably going to see more traffic in a month than Memorial Park sees in 6 months, because people are going to be using it. There's going to be military personnel. Do the people at Tyndall even really know that we have Veterans Memorial Park? Shame on us if they don't, but that's an opportunity for the city of Parker to say, one of our own gave his life for this country, and it will be prevalent out there. It's not, no disrespect to Memorial Park, it's beautiful, I'm glad that we have it, but it's not out of the way. It's not behind City Hall. It's right there, right at Tyndall. I mean, what better honor than to have those jets flying over him, over his honor. So just food for thought. Thank you.
Kim King, 4716 East 6th Street. I'm a little biased because my father-in-law and my grandfather, my husband's grandfather, helped design the memorial park here for the military veterans. So, and there used to be benches here that were donated by families in the area for the veterans and stuff. So I think that would be a better place to honor Mr. Bean with a memorial. There are also other people who served in military here in our town of Parker who could be recognized too. I thought donating benches and other things and putting plaques for the people who reside here who've served too would be a good idea, not just for Mr. Bean. But I think that the name of Parker should be on the pier because it's supposed to represent our area, our neighborhood, and my suggestion was the Parker Pier at Long Point because of its geographical location. That kept all of the other minutia out of the decision. So that's what I think should be done. I think Mr. Bean should be honored here at the Memorial Park as the park here was intended.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Diane Coates, 1521 Dover Road, and Mexico Beach has their pier is Parker Pier. So if we do name ours Parker Pier, Mexico
Really?
Beach has got Parker Pier.
That's weird.
I don't know if it's still, huh?
I said,
I
I
don't
wonder
know.
why.
I don't know, but it was there.
Was there a Parker in Mexico Beach?
Yeah.
Ah, I knew who to
There used
ask.
to be Parker House down there too that used to be
Ah,
there.
that's
Yeah,
why.
so they do have it, so I think we better come up with something a little bit different to incorporate Parker, but also Tyndall, because that's the end of that pier. You're gonna look straight across the way, which is Tyndall. You're hoping to get a lot of people coming through. You can put out a flyer, they can buy a brick, just anything to promote it.
So what do you think it should be called?
I don't wanna say, cause I put one of those in there.
Well, say it, it's
Say
okay.
it.
I did Patriot Memorial Pier.
Patriot Pier of Parker.
Parker, yeah, and I did, and
And,
mentioned.
and that was, so, which,
Okay.
I did not know that the Mexico Beach Pier was
No,
named.
I didn't either.
I didn't either.
Is that, here?
I don't think it's still that.
Well, Miss Barros.
I thought it just said Mexico
They
Beach
don't
Pier.
have a Mexico Beach Pier anymore.
No, it's gone.
It's gone.
So
Well-
it's not even, well, they are
They're
supposedly.
gonna rebuild it,
But
yeah.
are they gonna rename it that is the question?
Uh,
The new one, they said,
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
You want my name?
Yes, ma'am.
And address, please.
It has to be
My name is
recorded.
Catherine Kelly, and my address is protected. Full disclosure, I
note
put in a request for Lofton Parker Pier because personally I'm a history buff, and I think that the pier should have the history of Parker reflected in it. And Mr. Lofton and Mr. Parker made the city of Parker. So therefore, I think it should be Lofton Parker Pier. And as far as Sergeant Bean, obviously he was a tremendous hero, and I think he deserves his own memorial with his own plaque, with his own picture etched in black onyx, with a little story, a précis of what he did, his honors, his medals that he got, because he honestly deserves to have his own spot in Memorial Park, the Veterans Park over here. That's just my.
Thank you, ma'am. I will tell you, looking at what they prepared, there were soldiers, and then there are soldiers. And this man was a soldier. There's no doubt about it. He's a Purple Heart recipient, if you didn't notice that in his package. He was well decorated. He was an airborne soldier. So I'm sure what he did during the war was just, well, we'll never know. We'll never know what they did because it was classified. So there we are, council. We need to decide what we're going to do. I need to get.
Got something to say.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Well, this pier has been in working on for a long time now.
Long time.
Brenda Hendricks started out with it, and I worked on it. I don't know what Mr. Musgrave did, but then Mayor Kelly went with the rest wherever it was. And I have to say that I've been here, I can say lived here longer than anybody out here, because I am Parker family. And I don't feel, the people I've talked to, they don't feel that we need a memorial or anything like that. They want something uplifting. It's for the community. We've been working on it for a long time, and we want I personally, and the people I've talked to, want something that has Parker. It's Parker, whether you add whatever else to it. But, and I agree with all the veterans or whatever, that's what this park was put here for years and years ago. And I personally think that if it's going to be named to anything, it needs to have the Parker name on it. Lofton name on it's fine. You could name it Parker Lofton Community Pier. Something that brings the whole city in, because this is our city and our pier, because we've been working on it for a long time. And that's what I really believe, that's what we need to do. And that's my opinion, and the people I've talked to feel the same way. So, well, I mean, it needs to represent the city of Parker.
And they're going to call it the Parker Pier, no matter what Mexico Beach does or does not do with whatever. And I don't know that they would rename whatever. It doesn't matter. They're going to know that it's the Parker Pier, the one in Parker at the end of the bridge across from Tyndall. And so I agree with Ms. Barrows that it should have Parker in it. I think we need to put something special together for, I don't want to call him Mr. Bean, so John Bean.
John Bean.
And
Sergeant First Class John Bean.
Yeah.
I mean, that story is truly amazing, and he needs to be acknowledged for that, and to have that story in there and have his own memorial.
This is
in the
about
park.
fun, people enjoying something. It's kind of like a park. I mean, that's for that park. Park for Under the Oaks is for people to go and have fun. This is for people to go fishing, not to be going down there, oh, somebody died, or what is this about? This is about Parker.
I have a suggestion.
Yes, ma'am.
If you go with the Parker Lofton Pier, why don't we do an annual fishing tournament in honor of Mr. Bean? The city could try to raise funds for entry fees and whatnot, and then we could raise the money to build the memorial for Mr. Bean at the park.
It's a good idea, actually.
That's a great idea.
I do have them from time to time.
So what do you suggesting, Miss Barrow? Parker Patriots Pier?
Well,
Parker?
I'm like I said, it needs to be Parker, and about Parker, not about, what is the Patriot got to do? What are we
I don't
doing
know.
with the Patriot?
I'm trying to
part?
consolidate 9 suggestions
To me,
into
that's
one name.
still over, would be something that would be in a Patriot. That's where I
Parker
associate it
Patriot Pier?
with that over
The
there. not-
alliteration.
I mean, like I said, this been worked on for a long time, and it was for the people, it was for our community.
Been over 6 years.
What about the Jonathan Bean Parker Pier?
Well,
There are a lot of people out here that haven't talked. If there's anybody else that has an opinion. I'm like tallying your notes up here.
Ms. Barrow, please speak, Beverly Hutto. You're standing up, you got a bad back, or you got something to say to me?
So as much as I think that the name of, and I say Mr. Bean, Sergeant Bean, let's go that route.
Sergeant First Class
Sergeant,
Bean.
that was
Yeah, so I think that's wonderful, and I do think we need to do some sort of memorial. We also had a gentleman that lived here in our city named Victor Lee. He was a survivor of the Chosin Reservoir.
He was on the death,
I'm sorry,
he was on,
Bataan Death March.
he was on the Bataan Death March.
So there's, I mean, we've had others that were heroes that, I mean, we're not, I mean, and yes, this is a heck of a story, for, Sergeant First Class Bean, but, I mean, we've had others that, have, so, and I kinda think that the pier needs to be, again, it's about us as citizens and us as welcoming, I guess, other people, whether we want to or not, to come out and use our pier and things of that nature. So that's my.
Well, what do you think it should be called?
I like Parker Community Pier, Parker Lofton Pier, that's definitely two of the main names. I think Pratt was another family that was here when the city started.
Pratt
And it's
is-
just too many piers, it's like,
The Parker Patriot Pier would be a little bit, the alliteration is too much,
It's
but
just too many Ps.
I do like the Parker Pier at Long Point, but I also think if,
Go ahead, sir, you have the floor.
I think Mr. Chapel had the best idea. I like the idea of Parker Memorial Pier because it's inclusive. It includes veterans, it includes residents, it includes founders, it includes patriots. However, we define that, and some of us define it different ways, and that's okay.
True.
I just think it's a great idea. Now, I also think we should honor Sergeant Bean. We should honor veterans. We should honor the founders. But I think we're trying to do too much with this pier.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be more general. If we want to do a memorial to Sergeant Bean on the pier, I think that's great. I think he deserves it. We've got the Parker Lofton Ferry honoring him, and we could find ways to honor other people more specifically. But I just like the idea of the memorial pier because it honors everybody.
And then what do you suggest, to put plaques on the chairs, or put the plaques on the chairs, or whatever? See, for me, I would,
Whatever, we
yeah.
come up with a better way to do it, any way to do it.
The fact that I didn't know this guy existed until about 12 days ago, right? And even though I looked at the wall, I didn't remember Sergeant First Class Bean. Obviously they did their work and they did their research. But whatever happens, we need to put a memorial over here in this park for this guy, because this is special right here.
We need to
This is
honor him in
special.
some way. He's very unique.
Did they get his body back?
Yeah.
They did get the body back.
When they extracted the forces, they didn't leave theirs behind.
Right. Well, I don't know if there's any of them left after their mission was ended.
I think they had a team of 20, and 15 or 14 survived. And they were extracted late that same morning.
Okay.
So they were being chased to the helicopters.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my opinion. I think we can do both. I think we can honor everybody in Parker with a memorial name, honor other people individually.
Okay.
So, that's my thought.
Yes, ma'am.
Parker City Pier.
Parker City Pier, was that one of them?
no.
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 So it was the John Bean Patriot Pier, the John Bean Patriots Pier, the Patriot Pier of Parker, the Veterans Memorial Pier, Parker Memorial Pier. It's like going to the grocery store when you're buying your groceries, you know. Parker Pier at Long Point, which is good. Lofton Pier, Lofton Parker Pier, and Parker Pier. Those are the 9
And Ms.
applicants
Morris
that
just
I have.
added Parker City Pier.
Parker City Pier.
She just added that one.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we ever get the kids involved at Parker Elementary, and what name did they choose?
They didn't come up with a whole lot of submissions.
Okay, so I just,
We're
I
gonna
knew
do-
that
we're
was
gonna
one of
do
the things that was
something.
supposed to be done, so I was just asking if there was ever submitted.
And if it's okay, we're gonna do something, but it clearly became apparent that the citizens were very involved in this, so.
Mayor, is there any way we can put this off till the next meeting?
No, ma'am. We're there. They want the name last week. Mr. Someone has to submit it.
On a piece of paper and drop it.
Draw it out,
Whoever gets the most
somebody pick.
God.
Jamie,
I mean, that's not a bad idea,
I've
Ken.
been discussing this before now.
I mean, really.
For hour and hour and hour and hour.
Do, what was that?
Mr. Summerlin, what's the
Okay,
latest?
I mean, are y'all opposed to that?
I'm not. Black ball, white ball, as far as I'm concerned. It don't matter to me.
I mean, I kind of like that idea. Just letting everybody in this room, the majority of the people that are in here are the ones that come to all of this. I like that.
Just show,
Well, that would
show
all
of
be
hands.
public
Well,
record.
how much is the
then.
sign?
The
It would
vote
have to be, wouldn't it?
would
Yeah.
have to be-
That's okay.
What is that?
How much is
And they'd have to put their name and date on the
So
ballot.
we could we do just the hand raising if we
Well, you
call
could
for
do a
them?
hand raising. I mean, they're not the ones to make the decision.
Right.
The council makes the decision.
Right.
So you're simply looking for straw input.
So we
from-
do a straw ballot by raise your hand. If I read each one, because if we do a ballot, it has to be done under the law with your name and address and all of
Well,
that
this
stuff.
ain't kinda fair 'cause
So I'm gonna do the straw ballot, all right? And as I read it, you can't raise your hand for every one of them, obviously.
I think we need to think about this. We have people that will watch this
Yeah,
who can't come.
right?
And will be very, very,
Well, they should have showed
very
up.
upset.
I mean, ultimately, we're making the decision regardless.
We're going to at the end of the day.
I like them all. I like everything on this
I
list.
know, that's
So,
the problem.
I'd love to have the audience.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna read it out loud and you guys are gonna do a straw ballot.
List one more time.
Can we, wait,
I will,
before
I
we,
will.
before we do this, can we combine John Bean, Patriot here?
So I can tell you, one of you said John Bean, and then I think Jeanette was the one that sent me John Bean Patriots. So I think she'd be okay if we just did John Bean. Yes, okay. So
Actually-
we can get rid of number 2, because I think that was maybe just,
No, Mr. Robichaux has asked me to make sure that John Bean Patriots Pier was,
no, it was John, wasn't it John, oh, John
It
Bean
was John Bean
Patriots?
Patriot here, and
I
Jeanette
have the notes from
Patriots
where I met
here.
with him right here.
So do we want number 1 or number 2?
So let me read them to you again, okay? Be thinking about this in your mind, and then we'll go through them again, and we'll get a straw ballot. So John Bean Patriot Pier, John Bean Patriots Pier, Patriots Pier of Parker, Veterans Memorial Pier, Parker Memorial Pier, Parker Pier at Long Point, Lofton Pier, Lofton Parker Pier, Parker Pier, Parker City Pier, and SpongeBob SquarePants Pier. So, all right,
Jamie
so I'm
said
gonna
he's
call
not
them out
voting,
to
he
you.
was reading through it. I thought they were.
I'm gonna,
No, I was asking her. She added the Parker City Pier to her
I did,
list.
Parker City Pier, do you have that on there, sir?
yeah, I did, I just read it out.
Okay, okay,
Okay, now we're gonna do it.
okay.
All right, here we go. The John Bean Patriot Pier. That was easy. John Bean Patriots Pier.
Mayor, if you do, can you raise your hand really high? Okay, thank you. I've got the podium in front of me.
Patriots Pier of Parker. Veterans Memorial Pier. Parker Memorial Pier. Parker Pier at Long Point.
Hang on.
Oh,
That was 3.
Can we?
That was
yeah,
3.
It was
That was
3.
3.
Okay.
that was for Parker Memorial Pier.
Yes.
Okay.
Can-
Parker Pier at Long Point. Lofton Pier. Lofton Parker Pier. Okay. And just straight Parker Pier. And Parker City Pier. Wow.
2, 3, 4,
5.
6, 7. Wait, 7. Did I get 7? Wait, hands up.
All.
6. I see 6.
Okay.
Tell me the numbers, Madam Clerk.
Can I just look at and make sure I have the same as Miss Barra? I mean, Miss Galbraith.
Yep.
2. Yes.
Okay. We agree.
Okay. Tell me how many for number 1.
No one voted for number 1.
Number 2.
4 people voted for number 2.
Number 3.
1 person voted for number 3.
Okay. Number 4.
No one voted for number 4.
Number 5.
3 people voted for number
Number
5.
6.
2 people voted for number 6.
Number 7.
Nobody voted for number 7.
Number 8.
3 people voted for number 8.
Number 9.
2 people voted for number 9.
And number 10.
6 people voted for number 10.
Okay. Now, those are the straw ballot numbers from what's inside the room. The council, we have to make a decision, and we need a first and a second, and we got to vote on it.
I make a motion that we call the new pier Parker City Pier.
I second it.
We have a first and a second. Call a roll, please.
Miss Barrow.
Yes.
Mr. Chappell.
Yes.
Ms. Galbraith.
No.
Ms. Gibson.
Yes.
Mayor Kelly.
Yes.
And I think we need to.
And
plaque
only
with Miss
because
Anne
I don't like
Marie's
having the
name
same
on
name as Mexico Beach.
But they
That's
may
the only
not
thing I think that's weird.
The way that it's going over there, they may not even,
Have
who
a
knows
city.
what's going to happen.
I would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, city council members, regardless, now we know what we're going to call it. I still think that we should recognize certain first class being by providing a memorial freestanding in the park over here. Black Onyx would be perfect. He's a soldier. He deserves to be recognized. I didn't know this till 12 days ago, and it's going to be my goal now to get this done.
So I agree. I totally agree. And can we, when we do the workshop for the sports complex,
Yeah.
we can kind of work on that as well and come up
Certainly.
with some ideas?
Certainly. Mr. Libby, you got the floor? Longley?
Mr. Lumley.
$1,000 for that plaque.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think
I have another plaque here.
we need a, Mayor, we need to put a plaque on it with Anna Marie's name on it, because she come up with the name. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, that's that taken care of. Last item, ladies and gentlemen, a Parker Public Cleanup Day from Public Works brought this up, Mr.
All right. Good evening, council. Hopefully mine will be pretty quick, but I will let you know about Mexico Beach's pier. They have reached out to us. They're still looking for a grant or funding to get the pier. So ours has taken about 5 years, so they're probably at least 5 plus. before they get-
Well, maybe if they know we named ours Parker's, they won't name theirs the same.
So they don't have anything in the works right now to restore their pier.
So make sure you mention our name to them.
Hurricane Michael.
It's Michael here.
So I also have just 2 other things. I'll get this out of the way that I'll address at the end. But basically, this is just a public awareness for the City of Parker's annual cleanup day on Saturday, October 14th. This will be promoted in the newsletter also. We're asking citizens to please contribute at least 1 hour to clean out your ditches, culverts, swales in front of or behind your house. Our city will look better and our bayous and bays will be much healthier. So we're just asking everybody this day, we'll measure all the trash that comes in off of the routes that week and turn it in for our net des, for our documentation to be compliant. And we're just asking everybody to just try to clean up the ditches. If you see something out there that you can't clean up or you can't fix, to notify us so we can try to get it done. This is kind of our fall cleanup, so we want to try to do everything that we can.
We're gonna pick it up, right? We're not gonna charge for the pickup or nothing. We're gonna pick
Correct.
it up.
Now, if you go out there and clean your bushes by the ditch and stuff like that, it's no problem. But if you take a truck and pull all your bushes out of the ground and cut a tree down, it's a different story. You know, but if you're helping clean up the area of Parker, we're gonna assist any way we can to get it cleaned up.
Okay.
Tony, do you want that posted?
Yes.
And that's the
14th of October. The two other topics I was going to touch about was just to bring you up on the personnel of Public Works, because it was kind of thrown out there. We had hired one individual when he came in to take his drug test. He came in and informed us that in 2 months he's going to transfer to Atlanta with his wife, so he been denied the position after he accepted it. The second individual that we had hired that had been here for 2 months, that was kind of comical. He decided to go to another city because he said we work too hard.
Yep.
And then the third one, she accepted the position, but her relocation here has been delayed by 30 days. And I told her she could reapply once that time frame got here, if that position was still open, that I wasn't going to hold it 30 days for her. So that's just kind of where we're at Public Works. We are 5 positions still down. We are possibly going to interview 3 to 4 people next week. So the applications are picking up. We are in a little bit of behind the curve a little bit, right, because Callaway lost 6 individuals, and we're being told now that Mexico Beach is about 6 individuals have left there too. So we have 2 other neighboring cities that have got looking for more help like we are.
Where'd they go?
6 of them at Callaway got released, and the 6 at Mexico Beach, I'm getting told they released themselves.
They probably left.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Where are the positions posted, Tony?
Our positions are posted on Indeed. We try to keep the city website updated. We had the trash truck driver on there, then we took it off because we thought we had it filled, so we got to re-update it. We'll probably address that again tomorrow. We'll look and see what's all posted on there. The Parks position hasn't been posted yet because the budget just got approved for him, so we'll start going that route. The other thing I was going to let you know is the well for the Memorial Park, after back and forth, we finally have got, the city finally got the insurance company to pay for the well.
Yay!
So we have to minus our deductible, but instead of paying $16,850, we got a check for $11,850. So the well didn't cost near as much.
We didn't use the money for the auction then, huh?
We only have to, for that well, we only had to use the $5,000 for the deductible. So the city got $11,850 back.
But we still have the well.
Yeah, we still have the well across the street, which has basically been drove, but we just ran 260 foot of power to get to it today. So that's what we're, luckily the grass season's over, the park's slowing down a little bit because you're fixing to see across the street look like a war zone because we're trenching and digging and doing everything we can so we can start replanting.
Let me know when you get the well in though, because
we're working on that, Mr. Chappell. We want to go ahead and get in. We have to, we're going to get the well in, and then we're going to start driving the sprinklers, trying to figure out how we're going to get the piping, get it all laid out, because we want to get it irrigated properly, so that way we can stop tearing up all the grass and do the plants that you want to get.
I've got trees on order, but I told them to hold the trees until.
That's perfectly fine. Like I said, we got these finally coming back to life and living a little bit out here, and we did a bunch of patchwork to try to fill in all the areas. But hopefully the well guy will get us water turned on by next week, and then we'll start running irrigation.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sarmalin. There wasn't a section on here for the task list. Do we?
We didn't really have anything. We went through it last time.
Everything's good to go.
Yeah.
Mr. Chappell, do you have anything you'd like to discuss?
Well, other than, I heard last night that Callaway is not having their Memorial
parade,
Veterans Parade. But we are still planning, our committee is still planning on having a fun day for Parker at our Memorial Park. So we were holding off because they were normally start about 10 o'clock and they end up about 12. So we went ahead and said, well, we're going to have ours at, I believe, 2 o'clock? 2 to 5. Yeah, 2 to 5. So we're still going to hold that time, right? Yep. Okay. As far as the Memorial Park over here, I'd like to see us maybe put either a 3 or 4 foot a brick wall around the flags, and then on the bricks we can put names of different people we want to honor.
I think you're right, and I think what we could do is make the memorial for Sergeant First Class Bean at the same time.
Yeah.
Sell bricks, and we've got $1,000 to start with, so we'll move on that pretty soon and get that taken care of. The city of Lynn is selling bricks right now. Whatever they did, we could duplicate that.
Yeah.
You're up, Ms. Galbraith.
All right, 2 things. So, with Mr. McKinney retiring from CRI, I'd like to discuss, or at some point discuss, either do we want to put this out for bid to other CPA firms, and or if we choose not to and stick with CRA, I think it'd be great if we got to have some choice in who our CPA from that firm was.
I was informed today that the price that we currently are paying went with Mr. Ray, went with Mr. McKinney, and that they would be getting back with me in a few days to tell me what the increase is going to be. And I agree with you, Ms. Galbraith. If that's going to be an increase, then we probably should
Put it out
go
for
out
bid.
for bid on it.
So should we tell them to not send us an increase in price and just put it out for bid then?
That's up to them.
The
Well,
city
we're
has a
asking them to
contract
do
with
something.
Car Rigs and Ingram.
Right, now, if
I
they-
just need to look at
Right.
potential termination clause.
Because the termination clause would be in the increase in the contract.
Well, I would like to know what price they come up with,
Right. Me too. Me too.
just to see what they got to say.
Like, are they gonna bump us by 100,000 or like 1,000?
Oh, no, it won't be 1,000. I'm pretty sure. If we were lucky. Yes.
We're ramping up to start the next audit. I don't know how long that takes, but
A while.
Yeah. The audit won't start until, I told him today, the audit will not start until Suzanne tells him it's time to start.
right, but it will be after November 3rd when we do.
But we may have we will know, the council needs to know what the increase is going to be before we agree to anything.
Then
If they're going to stick a $50,000 increase on there, then absolutely we will have to bid that.
Mr. Sloan, will you be able to look at it before?
I'll take a look at that
Okay.
in the next day or so.
Okay.
You had asked them to do some action items. We want to probably try and get those before that, right?
I'm sure that they'll give them regardless, but yes, that'd be great. And then just one more comment. I'll match Lumley's donation on the memorial.
So that's 4,000. That's very good. Does it come with a charcuterie tray?
No, you have to go there
They're
to
pretty
get that.
awesome.
She's got to.
Ms. Barrow?
Use that to pay.
You're up. Anything?
I have a question for Mr. Sloan. I'd like to know where you're at with the paperwork on the Brandon land swap.
The deeds have been done. I met with Mr. Brandon. I've come up with the legal descriptions. I talked with Tony today about one issue on one of the deeds, and I just need to add some language about access to adjoining parcels. The mayor has one deed, and he'll have the other one tomorrow.
Will we be able to get a copy of once what you signed, the contract and all, whatever it is, the paperwork?
If you all want a copy of the
Well, I would
deeds
like
now, I
I'm
can
not worried
send
about the
them.
deeds. I'd like to see what it's written up as and what we're doing and what he's signing.
Okay, there are only 2 deeds, one from him and he and his wife to the city, and one from the city to he and his wife with a reservation.
Yeah, but you're just swapping deeds, or you're not gonna write up saying what we're doing?
Well, I could, but I didn't wanna run up your bill. I just thought that was the easiest. If y'all want me to say that's what you're doing,
Well,
that's
it's
what you're
not
doing.
y'all, it's me, because I'm the only one voted no against it the last meeting, and that was why I just don't feel comfortable doing things. Not that I don't trust you, it's just that when you don't have it in writing I mean, you had to do this, and you had to do that, he had to do this, and he had to do that, and
Well,
I just wanted to know.
I would not recommend the mayor
Well, that's
deliver
fine.
the deed to him until they sign the deed to the city. And then I can take care of recording both of them.
And nothing's been signed because we don't have all of the paperwork yet, correct?
But if it would make Ms. Barrow more comfortable, I'm not
Can you just
opposed
send her a
to
copy?
Mr. Sloan typing up a synopsis
I can
of what
do
has
a-
happened.
a
I
little
can't imagine
short
that would take very long.
Synopsis, yeah.
That won't take too long.
And I can send you the deeds. I'll do that.
Well, I can get a copy of the deeds, if they got deeds.
Well, I'm
all they
talking
gotta do is
about send them to you even before they're signed, if you want them. Okay.
I can get them. I mean, I'm not worried about looking at deeds. I can go online and look at that if I wanted to see a deed.
Okay.
Anything?
Nope,
Nothing?
nothing.
Madam Clerk?
I'm just really happy everybody was so involved in the naming of the pier. It was great.
Yep.
Well, we're so glad you're happy.
Yep, bring it up and we'll vote on it.
Okay.
Am I not
One-
usually
one item.
happy?
One last thing, every once in a while
Sloan.
I get
Mr.
to say
Sloan.
something. As you all know, we had a pending lawsuit against an individual that stemmed out of an unfit and unsafe structure. And that individual, Mr. Hatcher, had passed away. There was some discussion about how they were going to deal with the amount owed to the city. They ultimately agreed with me to pay all of the amounts that were owed. The city has taken down the offending structure, so it's cleaned. They've now contracted with a company to do the lawn mowing. But they delivered a check to me for $17,772.64, and in settlement of the lawsuit, and with your permission, the mayor's going to sign the release of the magistrate liens, and then I'll dismiss the case against them.
You said
Do you need a motion?
Need a
to
motion and
approve
a
that?
second, yeah.
A motion to approve
I'll
it.
make a motion to
You're gonna accept the man's payment, yeah? Got a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Miss Barrow.
Yes.
Mr. Chapel.
Yes.
Ms. Galbraith.
Yes.
Ms. Gibson.
Yes.
Mayor Kelly.
Yes.
What was the property
Chief Hutto,
address on that?
Hang on.
Mr. Summerlin, would you come up here in a minute and be my witnesses for this signature?
I don't have the property address.
Okay.
All I have is the case.
I believe it's Astor Street.
Yeah.
I can
Astor
get
Street?
Astor.
Oh,
It's
Astor.
Astor Street, but it's, I want to say it's 4516 Astor.
Are we adjourned?
We are.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Okay, here we go.
Stacy, I didn't know.
you got it.
Do